Winter in the City, Part 1, A Father's Promise. The wind howled through the broken windows of the small apartment in the Bronx. It was the beginning of December, and New York City was already covered in a blanket of snow. Inside the apartment, the air was cold enough to see your breath. The heating hadn't worked in weeks. James sat on the edge of a thin mattress on the floor. He rubbed his hands together and looked at his daughter. Her name was Emily. She was 6 years old, and everything he had left in the world. "Wake up, sweetie," he said softly. "It's a new day." Emily opened her eyes slowly. She smiled, even though her little nose was red from the cold. "Daddy, are we going to eat today?" James's heart broke a little more each time she asked that question. He forced a smile and nodded. "Yes. I promise." He didn't know how yet, but he would keep that promise. James had not always been poor. He used to have a job, a car, and a small apartment in Brooklyn. He used to have a wife, too. Her name was Sarah. She was the light in his life, the one who made everything better. But cancer took her away 3 years ago. After her death, everything fell apart. The bills piled up, he lost his job, and finally their home. Now, he and Emily lived in a one-room place that smelled like mold. Sometimes they had water. Sometimes they didn't. But they still had each other. Every morning, James wrapped Emily in the warmest clothes they had. Most of them came from shelters or donations. Then they took the subway downtown. James looked for work wherever he could, washing dishes, moving boxes, anything. Emily came with him. There was no one else to leave her with. They sat in coffee shops when they had money. When they didn't, they sat in libraries or train stations. Emily always carried a book. She loved reading, especially stories with happy endings. James hoped one day their story would have one too. That day, James had heard about a diner on 34th Street that needed someone to clean. It was snowing hard, but he decided to walk. He couldn't afford a second subway fare. Emily walked beside him, her boots full of holes, but she didn't complain. "I like the snow," she said. "It looks like sugar." James smiled. "Then maybe today will be a sweet day." When they reached the diner, a man in a white apron looked at them through the window. He stepped outside. "Can I help you?" he asked. "I heard you're hiring," James said. "I'll do anything." The man looked at Emily. "You have your kid with you?" "Yes. I don't have anyone to watch her." The man sighed. "Come back tomorrow." "Without the kid?" James's stomach dropped. "Please." "I'm sorry," the man said and closed the door. Emily touched her father's hand. "It's okay, Daddy. We'll find something else." He looked down at her and nodded. But inside, he was falling apart. They walked back to the subway. James sat on a bench, his arms around Emily. He had only $3 in his pocket. Not enough for food, but enough for a hot chocolate. He gave her the cup. She smiled as she drank it slowly, warming her hands. A woman nearby watched them. She wore a warm coat and nice boots. She had a kind face. After a while, she stood up and walked over. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you two okay?" James nodded quickly. "Yes, thank you." The woman knelt beside Emily. "Hi there. I'm Anna." "What's your name?" "Emily," she said. Anna smiled. "That's a beautiful name." She looked at James again. "I don't want to be rude, but, do you have somewhere warm to go?" James hesitated. "We're fine. Thank you." Anna reached into her bag and pulled out a sandwich and a bottle of water. "Please take this," she said. "It's not much, but maybe it helps." James took it slowly. "Thank you. You didn't have to." Anna looked at them both for a moment. "I know. But I wanted to." Then she walked away. That night, James and Emily ate the sandwich together in their cold apartment. It was the best meal they had had in days. The days grew colder. Each night, James wrapped Emily in every blanket they had. He slept lightly, always listening for danger, people trying to break into empty apartments, or worse. One morning, James found a note under the door. It was from the landlord. Pay $600 or leave by next week. James folded the paper and put it in his coat pocket. He didn't let Emily see it. The next day, he took her to a soup kitchen downtown. They stood in line for almost an hour in the freezing wind. Emily shivered, but didn't complain. Inside, they were given 2 bowls of hot soup and bread. James ate slowly, savoring every spoonful. Across the table sat a man with wild hair and tired eyes. "You look like you don't belong here," the man said. James smiled sadly. "I think we all belong here sometimes." The man nodded. "That's true." They talked for a while. The man's name was Frank. He used to be a teacher before losing everything. "Keep your daughter close," Frank said before leaving. "She's your reason." James never forgot those words. As December passed, New York City became more beautiful, but also more painful. Lights on the streets, decorated shop windows, people smiling with their families. But for James and Emily, there would be no Christmas tree, no gifts, no feast. Still, one day, while walking past a hotel, Emily stopped in front of a huge tree inside the lobby. "Can we just go look at it?" she asked. James agreed. They stepped inside quietly. The tree was tall and bright, covered in golden lights and shiny ornaments. Emily's eyes sparkled. "It's so beautiful," she whispered. James watched her. He wanted so badly to give her more. A hotel worker walked over. James was ready to be asked to leave. But the man smiled. "She's cute. Want a candy cane?" He handed one to Emily, who said thank you with a big grin. Sometimes, the smallest kindness felt like a miracle. That night, after Emily fell asleep, James sat alone. He stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Please. I don't ask for much. Just give me one break. I'll work hard. I'll do anything. Just, help me keep her safe." He didn't expect an answer. But sometimes, hope was the only thing left. The next morning, something unusual happened. A letter came in the mail. Not a bill, not a warning, a letter. It was from Anna, the woman from the subway station. Inside was a short note. A hotel worker walked over. James was ready to be asked to leave. But the man smiled. "She's cute. Want a candy cane?" He handed one to Emily, who said thank you with a big grin. Sometimes, the smallest kindness felt like a miracle. That night, after Emily fell asleep, James sat alone. He stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Please. I don't ask for much. Just give me one break. I'll work hard. I'll do anything. Just, help me keep her safe." He didn't expect an answer. But sometimes, hope was the only thing left. The next morning, something unusual happened. A letter came in the mail. Not a bill, not a warning, a letter. It was from Anna, the woman from the subway station. Inside was a short note. "Winter in the City, Part 2, The Light After the Storm." James held the letter from Anna tightly in his hands. Emily looked up at him, her eyes curious. "Who is it from, Daddy?" He smiled gently. "Remember the nice lady who gave us food at the station? She wants to help us." "Really?" Emily's face lit up. James nodded. "Let's go see her." That afternoon, they traveled to the address Anna had written. It was a modest brick building in a quiet part of Manhattan. When they reached the door, James hesitated. His pride had carried him far, but this step felt like admitting defeat. But then he looked at Emily. He knocked. The door opened, and Anna stood there, smiling warmly. "You came," she said. "I'm glad." She welcomed them into a small but clean apartment. There were bookshelves, plants, and pictures of her family on the wall. Emily immediately felt at ease. "Would you like something warm to drink?" Anna asked. Emily nodded. Hot chocolate? Anna laughed. Of course. While Emily sipped her drink and looked at a book, Anna sat with James in the kitchen. I used to be a social worker, she explained. I still volunteer sometimes. I don't have much money, but I have some connections. James looked down. I'm not looking for charity. I know, she said. That's why I want to help. There's a job fair tomorrow. I can take you. And there's a family shelter nearby. It's warm, safe, and there's food every day. James felt tears in his eyes. He looked away. Thank you. Anna touched his hand. You're a good father, you just need a little help to get back on your feet. That evening, Anna walked them to the family shelter. The building wasn't perfect, but it was clean, heated, and full of kind staff. Emily got her own little bed with colorful blankets. For the first time in months, James and Emily both slept through the night without fear or cold. The next day, Anna picked James up early and took him to the job fair. It was held in a big community center. Dozens of people stood in lines, dressed in their best clothes, hoping for a chance. James filled out applications, shook hands, and spoke confidently. He had years of experience: construction, cleaning, deliveries. One manager, a man named Mr. Donovan, was impressed. We're hiring for a warehouse position, he said. Starts next week. It's not easy work, but it pays regularly. I'll take it, James said immediately. Emily hugged him tightly when he came back with the news. We did it, Daddy. He smiled, lifting her in the air. We're just getting started. The next weeks were hard. James worked long hours in the warehouse, lifting heavy boxes, organizing shelves, and cleaning the storage area. His muscles ached every night, but he didn't complain. Every dollar brought them closer to stability. Emily started going to the small school connected to the shelter. Her teachers quickly noticed she was smart and kind. She made friends, read every book she could find, and even started drawing again. Every evening, James helped her with homework. He wanted her to have the education he never had. At the shelter, they met other families, each with their own struggles. Some parents had lost jobs, others had run from violence or addiction. But everyone there supported one another. One night, James sat with another father named Carlos. They talked quietly over tea. We're not broken, Carlos said. We're just bent. And bent things can be straightened. James nodded. He liked that thought. By February, things began to improve. James was promoted at work. His boss noticed his reliability and good attitude. He started earning a little more each week. Anna still visited them sometimes. She brought books for Emily, job listings for others, and warm food on cold nights. She became like family. With some savings, James bought Emily new shoes, a winter coat, and even a second-hand tablet for school. When he gave it to her, she cried and hugged him tightly. It's the best gift ever, she said. But the biggest moment came in early March. They got approved for a low-income apartment. It wasn't big, but it had a working heater, clean water, and a view of the city from the window. Moving in was emotional. James stood in the small kitchen and looked around. We're home, he whispered. Emily ran from room to room, laughing. Even with the progress, there were still difficult days. James sometimes woke up with nightmares of being cold, hungry, or alone. He still worried about money, rent, and keeping Emily safe. One night, he sat by the window and thought about Sarah, his late wife. I hope you're proud, he whispered. I'm doing the best I can. He kept a small photo of her beside his bed. Her smile still gave him strength. Emily sometimes asked questions. Will Mommy ever come back? James always answered gently. No, sweetie. But she's watching us. And I think she's smiling. By the time summer arrived, James and Emily had fully settled into their new life. James worked full-time. Emily did well in school. She even got invited to a summer art camp, for free, thanks to her teachers. But James didn't forget the shelter, the soup kitchen, the strangers who helped them. He began volunteering every weekend. He helped serve food, fix broken furniture, and talk to new families. "Why do you still go there, Daddy?" Emily asked one morning. "Because someone helped us," he replied. "Now it's our turn." Emily nodded. "Can I help too?" He smiled. Of course. That weekend, father and daughter served soup side by side. They made people smile. And in those moments, they felt powerful, not because they had money, but because they had love. One afternoon, James found an envelope in their mailbox. It was from the school. Inside was a letter praising Emily's kindness, her academic work, and her creative spirit. It ended with a simple line, "We believe Emily has a bright future." James folded the letter slowly. His eyes were wet. Later that night, Emily sat on the floor, drawing pictures of New York, buses, buildings, stars. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" James asked. "I want to be an artist," she said, "and help kids who don't have homes." He smiled. "That's a beautiful dream." "You made it possible," she said. Years passed. Emily grew into a teenager. James kept working, saving, building. Their apartment became a real home, with books, art on the walls, warm dinners, and laughter. They never became rich, but they were no longer poor. They had enough. One evening, Emily stood by the same window they had once looked through on their first night in the apartment. The city lights sparkled outside. "Daddy?" she asked. "Yes, honey? I think we made it." James came over and hugged her. "Yes," he said. "We really did." Outside, snow began to fall, softly, quietly. But inside, it was warm, and for the first time in a very long time, James didn't feel afraid of tomorrow.